The bases dropped on another edition of Soccer Down Here. We are live at Ghost Train Brewing in Birmingham, Alabama, getting ready for some preseason soccer tomorrow. Magic City Brigade in the house. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. It's a big game tomorrow with Atlanta United, last preseason game of their prep for home opener next Sunday, and the first preseason game for Birmingham Legion as they get ready for a big year in USL Championship. Two teams with different aims tomorrow.
So where do you want to go first? You want to go with Atlanta United?
We can.
All right. So with Atlanta United. Well, actually, first and foremost, because of the Magic City Brigade, let me make a bit of a, it's great to be here for our first road trip of the year. And frankly, it's great to be here in, how do we say this? Birmingham tonight. Telluride. This is a Google search. They had their 45th. I was here with the boss last week over at the Fennec. Telluride is a band that started in 1978. They had their 45th anniversary concert over at the Fennec last week, so I couldn't resist busting out the Telluride shirt tonight for the home audience here in Birmingham.
You're living up to your usualness of references from before 1980.
That's why I said that's the Google search for today.
No one in this building knows who you're talking about.
That's
Google?
okay.
They don't know about Google?
No, Telluride. Before 1980.
Scott
Careful.
Flood is heckling us already. We're not even 5 minutes into the show. Scott, I need a beer, by the way.
Yes.
Please.
Help the man out,
Yeah. A beer, Scott. All right. So you wanted to talk about Atlanta United so we can get it out of the way before they start throwing things at us.
Well, I think they're already going to, aren't they?
I hope not. Don't give them any ideas, John. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I think that with Atlanta United only 8 days away from the first game of the year, the progression that we've seen in the scheduling has been important. You start with competition so you can work on things. You build up. You had the road trip in Guadalajara that you were a part of, where it was 3 separate opponents, and unfortunately there were some injuries that we're having to monitor as a part of that for some folks. But then now what you're doing is you're here in Birmingham going up against the Birmingham Legion.
Cheap pop, John.
Over at Protective Stadium tomorrow afternoon.
I don't think you're going to get the pops for the stadium. No offense.
But so they're playing the Birmingham Legion tomorrow. They see, there we go.
Don't indulge him, please. Come on.
But this has been a matchup over the last couple of years where it has been chippy. It has been testy because you have teams that are trying to work on separate things. And for the folks with the Birmingham Legion, it's an opportunity for them to prove themselves against an MLS side, where the MLS side in Atlanta United is trying to prepare for their season. So I think we have a bit of a rivalry here as both of these teams are trying to get squared away tomorrow afternoon.
I don't know if we have a rivalry yet. They only played in preseason, but I'll go ahead and cut to the chase. There's a really good chance, if Birmingham does what they should do in round 2 of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, that Atlanta United and Birmingham Legion could play in a competitive game coming up in, May? This could be a bit of a preview for that, which is really, really cool. I don't want to see Charleston again, I think, more than anything. When it comes to the
every
Open
single
Cup.
time it seems like Charleston's the draw for Atlanta United.
Every single time it is Charleston is the draw. That's a fact. Tomorrow, look, you got two teams looking for different things. Atlanta United, I think it's a little bit of a rehearsal for opening weekend.
Agreed.
You've went through over a month of preseason now. You've had multiple opponents. You've had opponents who are further along in their preseason than you. That's flipped tomorrow. For Atlanta United, it's about what are your starters? What does your 11 look like for opening weekend? And can you get them about 60 minutes of work? I don't know if all of the starters can go 60, maybe 45, but you want that starting group to play some tomorrow. You got to build some chemistry. We'll see George Campbell tomorrow, I would assume, with the first group. He'll be playing next to Miles Robinson. Alan Franco's suspended for the home opener, so Franco will probably play a little bit less. You got to get Campbell and Robinson on the same page. I think for Birmingham, it's a different day tomorrow because it's early in preseason. You still have a few weeks before the home opener against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And I don't know where the substitution patterns and what it's going to look like. I'm not sure how many people are going to be on trial tomorrow. We know what the roster looks like. It's in good shape. A lot of returning faces from last year, but there are going to be some new faces. We just don't know who all of them are and what kind of open door do they have. Do they have a possibility to work their way into the starting lineup? Do they have a possibility to earn a contract? What does that look like for Tom Sohn and for Jay Heaps, who will be joining us here in just a bit? It's a different conversation for the two teams. And I think Atlanta United fans got frustrated last week when it was a frustrating performance against Chivas and against Tepatitlan, two teams that have played 6-7 games since the beginning of the calendar year. This is going to be the reverse. Atlanta will be in better fitness.
Right.
It's not about the scoreline tomorrow. I don't think either team really cares about the scoreline. It's about the quality of the performance. For Atlanta, they're trying to get their way of playing nailed down and ready to go for opening day. The goals don't come tomorrow. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. They've got to play the way that they want. For Birmingham, it's really step one. So it's about building that fitness. How long can guys go? Can they get past 45 minutes with the first choice? Is it going to be a little mix and match? Is it going to be trialist heavy? Is it going to be new face heavy? Somebody like Mackie Jope, who we know pretty well.
Right. Mackie Jope we saw with Atlanta United too last year. And then the integration for a player like Mackie starts with that front line that we've seen and that we know from what we've seen with Birmingham Legion and USL Championship. And there are a lot of familiar faces. You just wonder from a Legion perspective, are they there for 45? Do they get to 60? Does Tom Sohn make, fire wagon changes at some point?
I can't imagine they get to 60. Not many of them, because training camp started beginning of the month. You're not all that far along. Now, look, different managers have different strategies. Some focus heavy on fitness at the beginning. Some focus heavy on tactics. Some it's a little bit of a mix. I'm not sure what we're going to see from Tom Sohn, but 60 after about 2 weeks and a couple of days?
Yeah.
That's a big ask.
And especially in game state.
Yeah. You don't want to push that. You don't need any extra injuries. And again, it's not about the result tomorrow for either team. It's about the quality of the performance for both teams. I think for Birmingham, there's more questions to be answered tomorrow. For Atlanta, it's a little bit more fine-tuning.
And one of the guys that I wanted to ask you about is Thiago Almada. Getting that first cup of coffee down in Mexico last weekend. And I know that I think it was 50 minutes that he played?
Played 50.
And so you wonder where that next step is, because you're trying to get him into fitness, but you're also trying to integrate him into those relationships that we talk about. And you're looking for that, for me, is one of the first things that I'm going to be focused on tomorrow, is the progression of the relationships that he has when it comes to the offense.
Well, you might need to look and see if he's here first, because you still got to get a visa. And we've seen around the world right now, getting visas to come into this country has been very difficult. There's a lot of MLS teams who don't have everybody yet. So he was signed a little bit later than some of those guys. I don't know the situation. Being able to join the team in Mexico and be part of that group for about a week, that's a different conversation than coming here. He's got to get his work visa done. I don't know if he's here. I don't know if he's going to be able to play. So building chemistry, I don't know if he's able to play. Marcelino Moreno coming back from injury. It's a little bit of both. And I think this is the thing I would caution Atlanta United fans about with tomorrow, is you might see a starting group tomorrow that you'll see in a week's time.
True. At
Mercedes-Benz Stadium against Sporting Kansas City, but it might look different than what the starting group looks like in a month's time, because it is a little incomplete at the moment, and that's okay.
And you're dealing with what you have with the action in front of you and the individuals that are there. And two of the individuals that have impressed me so far through training camp as we head toward this last match are on the left-hand side, Andrew Gutman and Tyler Wolff. That is a relationship that seems to have taken off from match one. Yeah,
and don't forget about Caleb Wiley either. I think we'll see a good bit of Caleb Wiley, another player that I think Birmingham fans know from his time with Atlanta United too. That's where the rivalry has been a lot of fun, with Birmingham and Atlanta United too. And this will be the kind of last run of it this season. I can't wait for the matchups, because you get two teams that play different styles. It usually leads to a really testy kind of matchup. The kind of matchups that I think we all enjoy. We want a little bit of spice in it. Two teams I think have a lot of respect for one another. Two clubs, obviously, always meeting in preseason. But yeah, between the twos and between Birmingham Legion, it's always got a little bite to it. Mm-hmm. I think the left side tomorrow for Atlanta United, it will be very important in doing what they want to do. Tyler Wolff, if he's there in place of Almada, if it's Almada, the winger's going to come inside a lot. It's going to open up space for Gutman or Wiley to get forward down the left. I think the right side's a little bit different with Luis Araujo. such a brilliant 1v1 player, such an explosive player. You want to get him in 1v1 situations, whether it's outside, cutting in, or if he comes inside, you're letting him freewheel a little bit more. Left side, you're trying to create overloads. So Birmingham's going to have to deal with that, but they have the personnel to do it with a lot of returning faces defensively, which is going to be big for them.
So then let me introduce another Atlanta United 2 name into the discussion, since you mentioned the right-hand side and what we've seen from Aiden McFadden here in training camp, someone that the Legion fans know a lot about. What have you seen from Aiden in training camp?
McFadden's looked like he's very close to an MLS deal. Again, I'm not sure if he's going to play tomorrow because Brooks Lennon is recovering from injury. If Brooks Lennon is ready to play, he needs to play. He needs to get some minutes under his belt. I think Ronald Hernandez is right now the number one guy on the right side by default. Lennon hasn't been able to play in preseason. McFadden might be here as an option if Lennon's not available. McFadden might have played today in a closed-door friendly for Atlanta United too as they prepare. That's the thing about where Atlanta United is in preseason right now. It's been very open with a lot of information coming out of the preseason training. But as you get into 10 days, a couple weeks before the opener, it's shutting down a bit. The information's not coming out, keeping Kansas City guessing a little bit. I'm sure Birmingham's going to do the same thing when you get ready for that matchup with Tampa Bay.
When you look at Birmingham with all of those familiar faces that are returning, I know that one of the guys that has always been impressive in a USL Championship sense is the guy behind the sticks in Matt Van Oekel, who
what a beard out of Van Oekel, by the way.
I know. I mean, how long do you think, guys, it took for Matt Van Oekel to get that beard in full form?
He shaves it every day, John. It always grows all the way back.
So he's
a manly man, John.
I'm not disputing that whatsoever. But I think that having the experience of a guy like Matt Van Oekel and having that kind of return in a league in the USL Championship and as stacked as the Eastern Conference can be, obviously having that guy is key for their success coming out of the blocks.
72 games over the 3 years with Birmingham Legion. I believe that's the most games in club history. Very experienced coming in. I mean, this is a guy with MLS experience, a guy who played over 100 times with the various iterations of Minnesota,
right?
As they were the Minnesota Stars and all of those different things, going from USL to NASL. And he came here, and when he signed, I thought it was a really good signing. I didn't know where the level would be here for him. I wasn't sure because he was coming off of a year at OKC. He had been right on the edge in MLS. But he comes here, and he's been that foundation, that rock for Birmingham. And if you don't have Van Oekel, I think it's harder to get the rest of the back line, the rest of the defense to piece together.
One of the guys at the back I know that you've really shined on is a guy like Johnny Dean, who's and full.
Don't repeat the chant.
No.
No. You get us in trouble sometimes when you do this. Don't repeat it.
But for a guy like Johnny Dean, who our intel goes back to his time at Wofford, and they knew at Wofford that he was the real deal then. And you've been really impressed with him from what you've seen in USL Championship.
Johnny Dean is one of the most exciting players in USL Championship. I love watching him play. He's a guy who, if there was ever an opening on the right side, hey, I would be telling Carlos Bocanegra, there's this guy, down I-20 you might want to go get. And he's from Georgia, by the way. So, we could take that.
Yep.
I think he's got a lot of room to grow as well. Just incredible speed. That's what's going to get him through a lot of things. But we've seen this with George Bello in Atlanta. We're watching it with Caleb Wiley right now. The speed helps you get your spot. But once you start to read the game as well as Johnny Dean does, and what they're able to do with him is you can take more chances because he can cover so much ground on that right side. He can try stuff. He can get forward. He can risk it because he knows he can cover it. When he starts to read the game even better with more experience, 32 games last year. I mean, this is a guy who's played in almost 50 games for the club. When he's able to read the game just a little bit better as a right back, he does have MLS quality. He has first division quality for sure.
Who else, when you look at the back line, the rest of the back line for the Legion, who else stands out for you when you're looking at that group? Because it's a group that will challenge you from minute 1 to minute 90 across the board in USL Championship.
Kavita's always been a player
Benoit
that
Kavita,
I've
right?
liked. Always a really difficult one to deal with. He's 28. He's been around the block. Signed a homegrown deal with Real Salt Lake before, but he's a player who, again, like when you have the spine of the team like Birmingham has with Van Okel, with Kavita as a center back, with Anderson Sayadu in the holding midfield, you've got that spine handled. And then you can add in a player like Dean, and he can kind of learn on the fly a little bit, learn on the job, and continue to improve and get better. Looking at what Birmingham has coming back, and having seen them for a few years now in USL Championship, this feels like a group that is loaded to make a USL Championship title run. I really believe that they can compete with your Tampa Bays, with your Phoenix, with your Orange Counties, with the quality coming back and the new faces they've added. And it starts with the defense. It's not just Kavita, it's not just Van Okel. It's a guy like Mikey Lopez as well, who can play anywhere for them. It's guys like that just give you such a strong base when you can be able to defend with 6. If they want to defend with 2 holding midfielders, a line of 4. They want to sometimes go with 3 center backs. You can do that and defend with 6 in a different format. And you can let the attacking 4 go. Just let them attack. If you have that strong of a defense, you're going to win a lot of games in this league.
You mentioned the attacking 4, and I know that Prosper Kasim is back here in 22. Mackie Jope, we've already talked about him coming over from Atlanta United too. When you've got guys like, Mackie Jope, one of the just raw talent that you see from a guy like Mackie, when with Prosper Kasim, that could be problems for folks in the Eastern Conference.
I'll tell you who's going to be the problem is Enzo Martinez.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed watching him.
Yep.
Except when he wants to fight everybody on the field, which is like every game.
True.
You guys are going to love Enzo Martinez for sure. The chance creation is what I love out of him. He is that feisty guy. He will fight everybody in the stadium.
No doubt.
But he's going to create 5 chances in match. Like, it's not just a scrappy guy. And he's been so good for Charlotte. Getting him here really feels like that next step. Because at times it's been a little direct. It's been a little bit looking for the second ball. I think Prosper Kasim is a player who can pick out that pass. But Enzo Martinez kind of takes it to another level. And when you've got some of the forwards that are here and you have a playmaker to set things up like Martinez, again, this is a team that's loaded.
You look at Enzo Martinez, and I know that you and I have seen him with his time in Charlotte with the Independents and how he's been one of those engines in Charlotte. And to have that here for that push, because, you mentioned all of those clubs that are chasing after an Eastern Conference. And I know that in division last year, it was a race with Legion and Lou City. And I know that, I think Lou City are 2 bad words when it comes to, your Birmingham Legion fans.
I think they're bad words everywhere outside of Louisville, John.
That could be very well true. And so you're looking for those extra guys that can give you that added little bit. And I think that Enzo Martinez, he's an instigator. He's got that sandpaper with him, but he can create in addition to have that sandpaper too.
Yeah, I think that's the next step for Birmingham is to be able to do both. Like, you need a team, and we've talked about this from an Atlanta United perspective over the years. Having somebody like Carlos Carmona in year 1, that does get under your skin a little bit, but can play. You need both, and you needed those guys who can fight and scrap a little bit. Sayadu is definitely one of those guys.
Yep.
And then you do that to defend and back up your attacking talent. Because ultimately it comes down to, can you score? Can you score goals in this league? If you're good defensively, you're going to have a shot. But you have to have players who can create magic. Enzo Martinez can create magic. I think Mackie Jope can create magic.
Yep.
He's got to stay healthy.
Yes.
I think the thing about Mackie and probably what led him to leave Atlanta is he just couldn't stay healthy in the last 2 years. 32 games over 2 years. You need more in Atlanta's situation because he had to come in and show that he could take an MLS roster spot. He wasn't healthy enough to show that. I think he's got the ability. 9 goals in those 32 games shows he's got that ability, but he's got to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, and the other one too that we haven't gotten into yet is Marlon Santos.
Yeah.
Another good addition coming over from Tulsa, a player that we've seen quite a bit last year with the division setup. 17 goals in the last 2.5 years over in Tulsa. If you've got him coming off of the flank, I'm curious to see if Mackie plays as a winger here in a front 3. Because if you have Marlon and Mackie on the flanks, you have Enzo picking out the passes, You have Prosper Kasim in that group as well. Again, you've got the defense to go with that kind of an attack that can win the East.
That if you're a Birmingham Legion fan, I think that looking at those individuals that you were just discussing and the relationships that can be there, the combinations that can work with a healthy Mackie Joe, with a new Enzo Martinez, and getting him integrated to what we know and what we've seen, this can be a fun Birmingham Legion team to look at offensively.
Yeah, I think you've got the best of both worlds with what Birmingham can be this year, because you have the strong defending. You can win a game 1-0. You can clean sheet the other team, keep them off the board. You've got that ability, but now it feels like the attack has more weapons to it. And that was maybe the missing piece. One other player that we haven't gotten into yet, and I want to see where he fits in, we talked about it last year on the broadcast when he signed, is Thomas Vankizel.
Yep.
That was a great midseason pickup coming over from San Diego. And now you get him for a full year. He's a player that we saw a lot with Pittsburgh before that.
Right.
A really, really solid guy. And again, in the middle of the park. He can play as a center back. He can play as a holding midfielder. There's a lot of versatility with this group. You probably need a little more depth. As we were talking about, the roster, I think, is about 20 or so right
20,
now. Yeah, with a couple of goalkeepers. Probably need a couple more guys. Signed a 15-year-old in Matthew Corcoran coming over from Dallas. I'm really curious to see if we see much of him, where he fits in. That's a fascinating signing to me. I can't wait to ask Jay Heaps about it. But it feels like there's a lot of versatility already. You're going to have injuries. We know how it happens. Players are going to miss games. There's going to be some yellow cards. With this group, there's probably going to be quite a few yellow cards.
Agreed.
That's okay.
Yes.
There's going to be some accumulation suspensions.
Yes.
You got to have guys who can slot into some different spots. And I think they've got that. Now it's just the finishing touches and rounding this group out with, 3 weeks to opening day.
Yeah, and I think that tomorrow, for those that are going to want to take out the magnifying glass and see what Birmingham Legion look like in that first act of competition, and seeing how it all integrates, and looking and figuring out what you might need to address, where the early promise is, all those kinds of things. It'll be interesting for a bunch of different subplots for both sides tomorrow.
Yeah, there's two different, I think, end games for both of these teams. Atlanta is trying to get out of here healthy, but also round into form ahead of opening day. 3 weeks to opening day,
right,
for Birmingham. So it's the first steps. It's building up some fitness. It's finding some of those combinations. Is it Marlon on the right side with Johnny Dean behind him, getting forward? Do they click? Is it Mackie on that right side instead? Is it somebody else? Those are the combinations you're starting to look for. I always talk about little societies on the field, and I think this early in preseason, that's what you're trying to find, is which players click in certain spots. Is it Asayadu and Vankizel in the holding midfield? Is it Mikey Lopez in the holding midfield instead? What are those combinations, and who plays next to one another? Who's on the same side? Those are the things I'll be looking to see build for Birmingham.
And seeing a guy like Enzo pulling the strings and figuring out how he fits into all of this for, someone who's 31 years old and still has it and can still really give you the numbers and the effort that you're looking for a very talented player in USL Championship. I look at Enzo Martinez as one of those guys that you can sit there and go, that was a hell of a pickup in the offseason, and you wonder why everybody else wasn't knocking down his door. Birmingham did, and it brought him in.
Because this is a place that I think he wants to come where he can win a championship.
Right.
I really believe that. I mean, in Charlotte, Enzo Martinez is a competitor. I think he got frustrated at times because he didn't have a lot around him. They got better. They've dropped to League One. I think Enzo wants a chance to win a title. So he comes to a team that I really do think, when you look at the talent across USL Championship, I think Birmingham has every reason to expect to be late in the season, potentially playing for a title.
Yeah, you're looking at we know Tampa Bay. We know what you're looking at.
Yeah, it's a little bit different setup this year. So for Atlanta fans who are talking about the twos, for Birmingham fans, it's a different setup. We don't have the divisions anymore. You're playing everybody in your conference home and away. And then in the East, you've got 8 crossover games with the Western Conference. So let's run through the East real quick and just very basically, like, kind of what we remember out of these teams is they're all still coming together.
Atlanta United 2.
Young. It's going to be incredibly young Atlanta United 2 this season. I think younger than probably ever.
Yeah.
A lot of really good young talent that's going to need to get experience. And this is the kind of game that, from an Atlanta United 2 perspective, when they play Birmingham, it's the kind of game that'll make them better. I think Caleb Wiley has benefited from this rivalry over the years. Brendan Lamb is a player that I'm looking at this year at the twos. Noah Cobb is a player I'm looking at with the twos, a 16 and a 17-year-old right there. I think we'll see Caleb Wiley some with the twos. I think we'll see Efrain Morales some with the twos. Aiden McFadden and Robbie Mertz are the veterans in that group, and they're going to have to carry a very young team. I think they have a chance to build on what they did last year. You get a full year out of Jack Collison. I thought he did a really good job in bringing that group together, adding, I think, a more aggressive pressing element up high with the team. The young players really took to it. Getting a full preseason will really help him. But it's going to be a young group that'll have their ups and downs.
Changing of the guard in Charleston. Mike Anhauser is no longer there. Connor Casey, the head coach.
Yeah, really curious to see what that means for Charleston. We've seen Charleston look very similar over the years because you've had Mike Anhauser there forever. Connor Casey, going back to his last managerial stint as an interim in Colorado, did very well. He's an attacker. I think he's going to want to open things up. I think they'll be more attack-minded. They've got to win over Charlotte in the Carolina Challenge Cup. They struggled last night, losing to Columbus, I think 4-0. But they're going to be more attack-minded, I think, is the number one thing I'm looking at, because at times they got kind of defensive and kind of not stale, but a little bland, because they put numbers behind the ball and just make it difficult to break down. I don't see Connor Casey doing that.
One of the more interesting stories, a club that has worked its way up the ladder, Detroit City, LaRouge, come to the USL Championship.
They're the great wild card in the Eastern Conference because they have dominated everywhere they've been. They dominated in NPSL. They dominated in NISA. This is a step up in level. We went through a lot of the Birmingham roster. That roster is nothing like the teams from NISA. So Detroit City always had a better roster than the teams in their league. But what does it look like for this year? That's going to be the big question. And just playing at a higher level, higher expectations. Mm-hmm. How do they do? They've always risen to that challenge. I don't know. This is the biggest jump they've ever made. We'll just have to see.
FC Tulsa, always a test.
Yeah, I think they have one of the best coaches in Michael Encian in the USL Championship. They lost Marlon Santos that we talked about. How do they bounce back? They were wildly inconsistent last year.
Yes, they were.
They had some great runs where they looked like a team that could win a title, and then they had some runs where I didn't know if they'd make the playoffs. It was all over the place. Encian's got to get a little more consistency out of that group.
Hartford Athletics seemed to do well at Dillon Stadium, having their problems away from Dillon Stadium, and that was the end result last year.
I was about to say, you'd have to tell me a little more about Hartford, because we haven't seen them in a little while with the twos.
Yeah. And to me, Hartford, once again, it was for them, it was, you wondered which version you were going to get, because there were times where they would put 4 goals on the board and they would dominate their opposition in the East or in the Atlantic, and then they would turn around and give up just as many at home. So I think that if you're looking at Hartford Athletic, the consistency for me, first and foremost, is what I'm looking for from them.
Yeah, I think they haven't quite figured out the right mix at this level yet.
Right.
And that's the thing for newer clubs. Detroit City will go through it. I think Hartford coming in, their first year was the pandemic year?
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't really a normal year at all. So this is going to be maybe their first normal kind of a season. I think we'll get a better sense of the club.
Indy 11 at the Mic. It's another interesting club.
Indy 11 has always felt like one of the underachievers in the USL Championship. A club that has great ambition, a club that I think has spent money and tried to be very competitive, but it's never clicked.
Yeah.
And, I don't think they're going to settle for being a, mid-table kind of team in the East,
right.
But that's kind of where I see them right now.
Loudoun United, they're there for a reason.
What's the reason?
In the development for DC
Yeah,
United.
It's the same thing as Atlanta United too. Maybe not quite as young as Atlanta this time around, but Loudoun has helped produce a guy in Kevin Paredes, who was sold for a large amount of money to Wolfsburg
yes.
in Germany. Moses Nyman, who I think will play a lot for DC United this year. Griffin Yao. A lot of players at DC have come through Loudoun. Again, it's consistency. With a young team, you're going to make mistakes and have those bad days. But where I think it's tricky for a Birmingham, for example, against an Atlanta, against a Loudoun, is you don't always know what you're going to get. Because of the inconsistency, also you'll get some players who come down and can contribute that day. And sometimes it's a little bit stronger group. Sometimes it's a more experienced group, I think, is the biggest thing. Sometimes it's a group with an average age of about 18 years old.
Yeah.
And that can be wildly impressive. That can also be wildly inconsistent.
And we'll get into another club that shows it just like that in a little bit. Continuing alphabetically, Lou City, one of the folks in the East.
I mean, they're one of the hallmarks. I think Lou City and Tampa Bay have really taken that step that Birmingham's trying to get to this year. So Lou City, I mean, at some point they're going to have to reload, it feels like.
Yeah.
They've kept really a lot of the same group together for a long period of time. Can they continue to be at the top? Or does it start to look maybe a little stale this year?
And you have guys who are in their late 20s, early 30s, and they continue to add numbers to that DOB on the driver's license, and you wonder.
I think where Tampa Bay has maybe taken a further step is they've reloaded and added more.
Yeah.
I don't know if Lou City has done that well enough, and it might get exposed this year.
Next, alphabetically, Ben Pierman in Memphis, 901. Pierman.
Oh, I like it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Wow. All right. So it's year 2 of the Ben Pierman administration in Memphis with Memphis 901.
You didn't know that the Birmingham fans do not care for Memphis very much.
So it's year 2 of the Ben Pierman administration. See, okay, didn't do it the third time. But a team that started out very, very slowly, and they were late in bringing in players and development, but they got better as the year went along.
Yeah, they did. They've added Philip Goodrum from Atlanta United too, a player that I've always really liked. I think they're probably a step back from the elite teams in the Eastern Conference. I think they're probably competing for a playoff spot. I will also say, and maybe this will endear me to the Birmingham fans, their pregame ritual.
Oh, the guitar?
It's stupid. It's so stupid. Why are we smashing guitars? You're not Nirvana, Memphis. Stop it.
So Tacoma Defiance should be the one smashing guitars.
No, nobody should smash the guitars before the game. Why are we destroying things? No.
Is it an homage to Jeff Jarrett? Wrestling reference, Google search.
No, it's not an homage to Jeff Jarrett. They're not putting it over somebody's head. They're smashing it on a little amplifier in front of them. That would be better. It'd at least be more entertaining.
Wow.
Wow. I like these guys.
Yeah.
We're coming back to Birmingham.
Yes. Magic City Brigade in the house. Now, next time alphabetically, we're still in the M's. It's not just a Miami FC. It is the Miami FC.
That's what they say.
Yes, they are the Miami FC.
It's not capitalized the, which is good. It's not T capital H capital E Miami FC, but it's the Miami FC. What do they have back this time around?
I'd like to know.
That they feel like a team that has a lot of turnover every year.
Yeah, it's like hired guns for us. It's it's like you get the help wanted sign out in front of the office. Ricardo Silva's dialing folks up, and it's like we need a couple of players. Hey, what can you do? You want to come play? It seems like it's a bunch of hired guns.
They do have nice uniforms. I'll give them that.
Yes,
I like their branding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next,
we talked about Loudoun United. Kind of the same thing with Red Bulls too.
Yeah, and Red Bulls too, I think, have been one that their academy has dipped a little bit. So the twos for the Red Bulls have dipped a little bit from where they were early on in their time in USL Championship. Really, really curious to see what they look like without John Wolenick, who he is one of the managers who I think coming through a twos process has really proven himself well.
No doubt.
Wolenick is a guy who I think will end up with a really good job when that next step comes.
Next up, we have two more to tackle here in the East. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and I think that Bob Lilly's still yelling at his team with the lights off.
Yeah, I want to tell the story.
Yeah, tell this story. This is
for our friends in Birmingham. So in 2018, when we were playing at Coolray Field with Atlanta United 2, minor league baseball park, I think it was a draw. I don't even think Atlanta won that game. I think they drew with Pittsburgh.
But it was a late comeback.
It was a late comeback. It affected their playoff spot. After the game, Bob Lilly doesn't take the team into the locker room. He has them at midfield, and he's talking to them. We sign off on the broadcast. We're talking to other people in the press box. Look back out there. He's still yelling 20 minutes later. We can hear him yelling because a lot of people have left.
Yes.
Couldn't make out everything he was saying, but it had a lot of volume to it.
That is true.
So then we decide to sit around and watch this for a while. 20 more minutes pass. We're 40 minutes from the final whistle. He's still yelling at midfield. They haven't gone into the locker room yet. Finally, no, that was later. Finally, we decided, like, look, I'm not going to sit here and watch this anymore.
We're home,
leaving,
man.
So go out to the parking lot. We could really hear him yelling from the parking lot. He's still going. They turn off the lights in the stadium. He's still yelling.
And we can still hear him.
At least an hour after the final whistle, he yelled at these guys like they were a U12 team. I was blown away. If you got to pick out the right USL Championship broadcasts on ESPN Plus, because the ones that have field mics really close to the visiting bench.
Yes.
Pittsburgh doesn't have it at home. I think they know. They probably turned that one off.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, for example, when Pittsburgh comes down, you want some comedy? Listen to Bob Lilly screaming nonstop at his players from the bench. It's crazy.
It is entertaining. It is vociferous. It is, how should we say, the variety used of the English language at times.
There's times when I hear what's about to come out of his mouth and I just start talking so we don't have a possible FCC issue.
Yeah. Because a lot of times it'd be before 9 o'clock, and you don't want to get in trouble with the folks in DC.
Very, very good team. I think a very good defensive team.
Yes,
a very difficult team to beat. I don't know if they have enough going forward. That's always been the issue. And I think you get guys who can play and want to be creative players who want to go elsewhere because it's just a little too defensive. But they're always a difficult one. They're like one of the bosses in the old video games that you had to beat to get to the next level. Pittsburgh has that feel. Bob Lilly has that feel.
So they would be in that second group for you?
Yeah, I think they're probably the best of the second group.
Like a B+?
Yeah, a B. They're in the Bs. I think they're in the second group, and they're the one that you got to get past.
Team 14 in the Eastern Conference, the Tampa Bay Rowdies. We've seen what they've been able to do at Al Lang, although the last game of the year did not go the way that they were looking.
Yeah, that was shocking. The USL Championship match last year with just how Tampa Bay looked completely and utterly disjointed.
Yep.
Not what we're used to seeing with the Rowdies. I think the Rowdies are the team to beat right now. I do think Birmingham can compete. I think Lou City can compete. Pittsburgh's probably that next step back. But Tampa Bay's got to come into this a little angry about how it finished last year because that was not how they looked all year. I thought they were the best team in the league all year long. I thought they were a team that, it was always a battle with Atlanta United too. I enjoyed the games. They have a very different approach than Atlanta United does in the way that they want to play. I think they have a different approach from how Birmingham will play this year. I think they're a little more get back, defend, get forward, and counter. I think Birmingham will be able to do a little bit of both this year, which might give them some trouble because we saw that in the final when you had to do more than just sit back and defend when you give up some early goals. They don't really have that. I think Birmingham can break them down. Again, I think Enzo Martinez is the kind of signing that can give Birmingham the opportunity to knock off the Rowdies.
And I think in Tampa Bay, you got to see folks like a Sebastian Guenzati, and to watch him in USL Championship and see what he was able to do, to see the growth of a player like a Juan Tejada, who came in as someone who I think it was Eckerd College to be an integral
open tryout.
Yeah.
Juan Tejada showed up at an open tryout and earned a contract with the Rowdies. Guenzati is one of my favorite players in the league. Leo Fernandez, another great one for the Rowdies. But again, they've been able to reload. Tejada, Lawrence Wyke went down there last year. I thought was really good with them. They've been able to add nice pieces, but they have a point to prove this year. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder.
It was shocking. It literally was shocking to see Orange County SC come out of the blocks the way that they did in that first 45 minutes against Tampa Bay in the last game of the year. It was a shocking thing that they were doing.
I think it's a great opportunity for Birmingham in the home opener to get the Rowdies at Protective Stadium. I think you're going to get a real measuring stick day one.
Yep.
And look, if it doesn't go your way day one, you have 33 games to get back to see them again.
Right.
I think it is the bar that Birmingham's trying to get to. So you couldn't schedule a better home opener, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then I know that you look at the West, and you're looking at a new club in Monterey Bay who's coming in. Dallas J moves up from USL League One in Greenville to be a part of that new organization at Monterey Bay. New Mexico United, Orange County, Phoenix Rising, San Diego. There are some clubs in there that you're kind of anticipating being at the top of the Western Conference, chasing after it to be in the last game of the year.
Yeah, I mean, Orange County is going to be the one to beat until somebody does. And they add Kubo Torres from Atlanta. I think a player who will be a double-digit goal scorer in USL Championship easily. I think he'll get the service. I think it's a really smart place for him to go to bounce back after a couple of frustrating years in Atlanta where he just could not find the back of the net consistently. He'll do well, and that's a good team to go to. He'll fit in straight away. The West, I think, is theirs until proven otherwise.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I know that we're looking at a couple of different clubs, but until what's the phrase? To be the man, you got to beat the man.
That is a phrase, yes.
Yes, and so right now Orange County SC is the man out west, and they're also the man up top.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be the team to beat in the league, and they've got the belt right now. I felt the same way last year. I feel like this year coming in, especially going through the East, I think the East is deeper.
Yeah,
I think the Eastern Conference is going to be more competitive. I don't think there's a clear-cut number one as much. It's Tampa's right now. But there's a couple of teams who I think have a claim to it, and one of them gets the thing started here tomorrow.
So we're at almost to the halfway point of the show. What else is on the docket as we wait for Jay Heaps?
I mean, I think just when we get into this game tomorrow, it's a great opportunity to see Protective Stadium,
yes,
which I really think is the kind of move that can elevate the club here, both from a fan experience, from a game day atmosphere, but also a perception in the city. And what's been really cool to see is in the build up to this game, watching local media in Birmingham get excited, get behind it, do hits on local TV. I don't know how often that happens, but being at Protective, I think gives you a bigger perception and it gives you a bigger opportunity to build on. It's exciting to see because we've talked about this with Atlanta coming into MLS in 2017, how I think you've seen a growth across the Southeast. It's not just because Atlanta came in 2017. It's not it. It's just it got attention.
Right.
And others then were like, hey, we can do that. And we can make it fit for our market. And that's what I feel like Birmingham's done a really good job with, is it feels like Birmingham.
Yeah.
And I think where clubs struggle at times is where they try to be like an English club, or they try to be like another club, like an LA. No, you have to be true to your market. You can take and you can learn things and you can tweak it, but you have to be authentic to your community. And I feel like the Legion have done a really good job with that. Going into a bigger venue.
Yes.
Look, it probably creates a little bit more heartburn for the ticket office in terms of selling those tickets, but it's a great opportunity. But that's a good thing.
Yes, it is a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's a big thing. And it's just exciting to see. It's really exciting to get to see the venue tomorrow and see how all this goes.
And you see the early things that have gone in there with UAB football going in. And the crowd.
You were there for the Bulbous.
Yes, I was. And it was a packed house.
Okay.
It was full. And you could not breathe when it came to Protective and being there for the Birmingham Bowl when you had Auburn and the Houston Cougars. Yeah, the Houston Cougars going at it. And I know it's a sore spot for a lot of Auburn people, the last 5 games of the regular season.
Should I have not brought that up?
No. In the sense of what Protective Stadium is for the Auburn, the boss and all the other Auburn folks who were here before we were, by the way, watching Auburn basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a bit of an Auburn hangout. But, yeah, part of that 5-game losing streak at the end of the year. But, no, it was a packed house. And to see it be one of these new cornerstones of a city, and you can have your own identity as a part of that, I think is key. And when you look at the venues, you look at an Al Lang, you look at a Highmark, you look at Lynn Family in Lou City as another example, where they're building these things that are part of the fabric of the community. I think it's big.
Yeah, I think what we're starting to learn, and I know at times we get really hung up on the soccer-specific stadium branding that was what everybody wanted to do. It's not always the way to go. Right. I don't think it's always the move. And I think we've seen in Atlanta what you can do with a bigger venue that you can stretch and draw record kinds of crowds. It's worthwhile. And it gives you something to aim for. Again, I think it gives you a different perception if you're in a 5,000 seat venue versus a 40,000 seat venue.
Yeah.
I think it just makes it a bigger deal in the market and gets your casual fan. Look, these guys, the Magic City Brigade is going to be there no matter where they're playing.
Right.
But the casual fan, and those are the ones that ultimately will make the difference at the box office.
Yep.
Those are the ones that are going to make the difference with the revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
When you get them to say, hey, this is a big deal. It's a great Saturday afternoon. I'm going to go watch. Hey, I hate Memphis too, so I'm in. I mean, come on. They're going to be all over it.
Yes.
Okay, I know my cheap pop now. Just take a shot at Memphis.
Yes.
I'm good.
So let me get this straight. So the Birmingham Legion fans and the Magic City Brigade don't like Memphis 901.
All right, you're forcing it now. You're forcing it. We got to be more creative.
It was a reinforcement moment.
Yeah,
That's what it was. It was a reinforcement. I was just making sure.
We know.
Okay.
They're not friends.
Okay.
They're not friends. I love it. I love it.
Rabble.
It's something that, look, in Atlanta, we've had this conversation about rivalries, and some people get bent out of shape because it's like, no, Orlando's not a rival. No, Red Bulls aren't a rival. No, Toronto's not a rival. It's okay to have multiple rivals. Yeah. That's a good thing.
No doubt.
I want to know who the second most hated team for Birmingham is. Who's the second most hated?
We know who number one is. Who's number two?
Nobody's claimed it yet. Tampa? Maybe. Charlotte's gone.
So they don't count anymore.
Pittsburgh?
Okay.
I can back you on Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's Halloween party. I might need, when we get one of you guys up here in a little bit, I might need a story.
We're gonna need to know about that.
I need to know more about this.
Yeah, we need to.
I think this year, really, because I heard Tampa mentioned a few times.
Yeah.
I really think this year, Tampa Bay and Birmingham are going to be the two at the top of the East.
Yes.
So I think that's going to be a rivalry. That's going to be a big one.
And
Charlotte's off the League One now.
Yeah, so you can't. Yeah, you can't claim that one anymore. So what
you'll find more hatred. I know. I have belief in you.
What you're saying
Hartford.
is
why would we hate Hartford? Okay, fair enough.
Well, you don't like deer, but so what you're basically telling me is that the Magic City Brigade and all the Legion fans scared Charlotte out of the USL Championship. That's what you're telling me.
Oh, wow. Now we're making up narratives, John. That's going to get on Twitter, and it's going to come back to you.
Like I said, I'm just asking. If that was the case.
All right, we're 6:51 Eastern time, 5:51 local time.
That is true.
That is a good time to bring up Mr. J. Heaps, talk a little bit of Birmingham Legion soccer.
Yes,
of course,
you are.
Please.
Why, yes, you are.
Please.
See what you got into?
I know. I was not expecting this much of a crowd, but I'm excited.
It's a big day tomorrow.
It is a big day.
I'm sure it's a day for you guys that, we've talked about this since Birmingham came to be, and I always figured that this was going to be the move, and getting into the new facility that UAB was working on was the next step. How excited are you to see that come to fruition tomorrow?
It's been a process, and it's one that from a front office, from an ownership standpoint, we're just excited to be able to get into a place that has some great amenities, so our fans can really enjoy a game in a first class venue. From a player standpoint, even more so, right? Because now you have great locker rooms, great pitch that's always ready to go. So we are thrilled. It's been a quick kind of turnaround from where we finished last year to get everything over. So this day's come up fast, but we're really excited. And our good friends I always appreciate Carlos Bocanegra because he and I have a really good friendship, and having the team come play us this year again was a great honor.
I was going to ask about this quick turnaround time because of trying to get everything squared away. And this is a question that I like to ask a lot of the time. When you and I have talked in the past, it's the whiteboard question where, all right, so, it could be on your phone, could be, in your office, could be on the fridge. I mean, how many things did you have to tick off in like short notice? I mean, what was this timetable like to get everything squared away for the first day of 2022 tomorrow? Oh, he's got it right here.
I'm going to pull up my notes for you. It's
there we go.
That's like on the run. This was 3 days. This was 3 days worth leading into it. Just kind of get everything.
Wow.
But it was
that's a lot of fine print. Man.
It is. But those are just the check things of making sure that we know what we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's going to be a few things that we're not even sure is it going to develop, and we have to be ready and be responsive. So I actually just left most of our team, the front office at the stadium, just making sure we're batting down the hatches, being ready and get prepared for anything that might come. But yeah, it is a challenge. We've kind of done it in a way where we're opening up with a big game, so we really want to get it right. We didn't have much time to prepare. But, there's no better way than just to kind of get out there and sink or swim.
One of the things we talked about early on is you've got two teams tomorrow who are in different places in preseason. For Atlanta, it's really the dress rehearsal before opening day. For you guys, it's very early, about 3 weeks away from opening day. What are you kind of expecting to see from the group you've put together on the field tomorrow?
It's great question, and you're absolutely right. And with the way the MLS pushing preseason up for them and ours being on a normal time, we're going to see them. And I talked to Carlos, and they've had similar issues that we did, that there's a few players that are still outside the country because of visa issues. And that's just been a COVID problem that just stretched, to all the embassies. So we just actually this week got 3 of our players in. Actually, Maki Diop is getting in as we're actually, I think after this, someone's going to pick him up at the airport.
Oh, nice.
But
cool.
He just getting here. So those are the things that all teams are dealing with. So yeah, I think we're in different places. But at the same time, we're excited to see our group come together. We scrimmaged last week, but it was really early. And so this week, we want to see some of the core guys get more minutes, maybe not a full 90, but they're going to get about 60 or 70.
Okay.
But the Atlanta team, talking to Carlos, they got guys that are ready to go 90. And so it will be hopefully we can hold our own for the first, 60 minutes. And then we're going to see if we have to make changes and see where we go from there.
What did Legion learn about itself in the off season coming out of 2021, obviously going into a new place, Protective tomorrow, but what did you learn about yourself from the 2021 season that you're applying to 2022?
That's great. We wanted to get tougher. And so we brought in Enzo Martinez.
Yes, you did.
So he's a player. And I was funny is I don't see it. Interesting. Cause I don't, I guess someone came up to me the other day at the Meet the Team event and was talking about, Enzo had the entire stadium, not liking him the last time he was here. And these guys
sounds about right.
I think it was you. and I'm laughing because I'm going, I didn't even notice that because that was what I want. Like that's what you want as a competitor being on the field. A guy that's gonna when you play against him, you hate him, but when he's on your team, he's you don't want anyone else. So we needed that. We added core value, core guys like Kavita the year before, Feno Kavita. So looking for some of those players. And then I don't know if you guys saw, we added a really young player, a 15-year-old.
That's what I wanted to ask you about.
But so there's a little bit of blend, right? We wanted to get some balance with, some really tough veteran. It's a little bit of a USL kind of career guy. And then a player with some not so sure what kind of talent level yet.
That's something that stood out to me about Birmingham from day one is you guys have had that good mix with some young guys coming in, some veterans. What is it about building young talent, and where do you guys stand kind of on your own academy and developing talent locally?
That is a great question. And so tomorrow we're actually going to be honoring our academy. It's really our first full season because the first year was kind of struck down by COVID, but first full season of our academy group. So we're actually it's not going to be announced, but next week we're gonna add 3 players. Academy players to actually academy contracts that came through our academy.
That's so awesome to hear.
But one of those players will be on the bench tomorrow for the game. His name I don't want to say it because I don't want to give it away. But
an individual,
who you won't recognize.
I might need some notes for our broadcast back to Atlanta.
I'm not sure he's going to play yet or not. But the great thing is that's what we're trying to build. Is it's bigger than just what we're doing on the field from trying to win every game, which is what we are trying to do. But if you can really balance that out, and it took us a little while to get the landscape right, because there are some clubs here that have some great deep roots, and
100%.
and we always were about trying to be, collaborative in that, because starting when they're, 7, 8, 9, I think the clubs here, Birmingham United, there's Hoover Vestavia, they do a good job of kind of getting players there.
Yeah.
And you've seen some players, Tanner Test players,
Yeah.
Cervania, they all grew up here. Chris Richards, they all grew up playing in those clubs here.
Right.
Got taken away. They're doing a nice job, but now we're saying, all right, let's see if we can take that one more level with more players, get them to a higher level, and then get them to the first team or get them to college in the right way. But it's a balance, right? You got to have that. You can't just say all academy. I think we want to have that balance of winning, trying to win every game with really good professionals. And by the way, I think that sets the best tone for these young players as they get in there.
100%.
Guys that are, fighting for jobs, fighting to play the next game. I love that kind of attitude.
Well, that's something that the team that you went into as a professional yourself. You went into a team with a lot of veterans. Yep. So being able to model that here makes a ton of sense.
Yep, 100%. I think about it all the time with guys like Taylor Twellman and Steve Ralston and Shawry Joseph, and you try to emulate that, and it's funny now in the front office, like I laugh because people don't have that same like I was always fearful that if I wasn't at every practice or every game or wasn't there, that's the next person was going to take my job.
Right.
It's not like that so much in the real world. Everyone's like, that guy's not taking my job. They're not worried about it.
Right.
But when you're in a position in professional sports or you're on a team and you lose, like you have, that's your one moment. And if you lose it, it's almost impossible to get it back.
Yeah.
So you have to hold on for as tight as you can, for as long as you can. So I laugh at, people taking 6 months for maternity leave or whatever it may be. I'm like, and I support it, but I'm always like, I wasn't built that way. And then no one on our team was built that way, because you were like, I got to hold my own. I got to be accountable every day, or I might be out of the lineup. And you didn't, once you're out and the team won, you may not see a starting position for another 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because the academy element is another part of the added fabric that Legion is trying to develop here, because, it could be that kid in Oak Mountain. It could be that kid in Leeds. It could be that kid in Montgomery, or, it could be Ozark or Huntsville that is sitting there saying, hey, I see that club there and I can be a part of that. It's just that added section to the fabric that you're building here.
That's right. And a pathway, and knowing that a coach like Tom Sohn and people around him, Connor Smith, our assistant coach, and our strength coach, Dan Barlow, have made professionals. Tom Sohn has brought big time players here. Tom Sohn was on the DC United when they signed Freddie Adu. So he's signed young players to professional contracts. He's been a part of it. I signed, Diego Fagundes to his first contract. So we see that pathway, and we know that it's there. And hopefully the players like that will see that if they do get into this club and there is that next level of training or the next level of coaching that can take them from being, a really good player to that next level, that's the expertise we're going to be able to bring.
So we were talking about it earlier, going through the Eastern Conference in USL Championship. I feel like this is a year where, with the moves you've made in the offseason, Birmingham is at the top with the Lou Cities and the Tampa Bays. I think you had a great offseason in adding talent to an already stable group.
Yeah, it was interesting. We were with 3 players that we moved on. Our attacking pieces, sold Junior Flemings to Toulouse, which was a great move for the club, because we knew Junior was trying to reset, get his career back on track, because those offers were there before.
Right.
They kind of disappeared when he went through his issues out in San Diego and with Phoenix. And so we wanted to kind of give him a reset. And so we knew that was kind of the pathway.
Yeah.
And then you kind of, with JJ, he's someone we love, JJ Williams, we love, but he wanted to see what other opportunities were out there. And then Nico Brett, we lost him. And that was one of those where, it was close. We thought we were going to get him, but he had other opportunities that were just different than what we had. So we were kind of preparing for 2 of the 3. And then, but then Enzo Martinez came available, and that became our focus, is can we get this player that can do a lot of those things? And then we wanted to bring in Maki Diop, which we, talking to Carlos thought, here's a player that may not fit the perfect mold for what the Atlanta 2 team needs, but can he get to the first team? Maybe, but just not in the way where, where the kind of the profile they're looking for fits our profile really good. Right.
Yeah.
He's a player that's got some upside, got some ability to put some time in, but it's not competing with a Joseph Martinez, right? He's competing because that's what they're looking at, guys that are 24. That's who they're comparing him to. So we're comparing him to, hey, the next guy in USL Championship, can he be better than that guy? So we think we've done really well with him. And this kid, Eddie Horvat, who will be playing tomorrow, he's a player we signed from Croatia. Is playing in Slovenia as a small club, but we think he's got big upside. So it's a little bit of a risk. It's a little bit of we weren't able to go there. COVID was down, but it's a little bit of a flyer, but someone that we think can adapt well to our league and hopefully be, a couple of those attacking pieces that we moved on from, one or two of them intentionally and one of them that we had hoped for, but weren't able to get done.
What's it like having conversations on the world stage where you're taking flyers on players and players are going over to Ligue 1 to be a part of the process? What's it like being engaged in this? Because I think that's another stage of the growth of the American soccer footprint. It's not just MLS that's having these conversations across the planet now. Right. You're having USL Championship and USL League One teams making these kinds of transactions and relationships. What's that like to have this be a part of things now?
Well, it actually, and I've had those conversations when I was head coach of an MLS team in New England. And so we were there when there were big Premier League clubs coming to try to talk to Diego Fagundes, talk to some other players on our team. And it's very different because everything you're talking about and doing, less the front office, the league office, because there's just a lot, the single entity structure. Yeah. You just can't make a sale on your own, and you can't just negotiate. There's 3 or 4 people negotiating that transfer, club driven, but league kind of, involved.
Sure.
With when we did the junior transfer, we started to have those conversations. It was really club and club, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't deal with we didn't deal with the French Federation. We weren't dealing with the U.S. soccer. We were dealing with, myself and their basically their sporting director, talking through what the deal looked like, what was best for the player, and there's no real other entity in there, so you can really, I think, get the best deal for both clubs and the player, because you're not worried about keeping some other entity happy. So I really enjoyed that part of it. I think that's why you're going to see some USL Championship teams maybe invest in some younger talent, some other players that you can then move on because of these type of the ability to have that direct dialogue and direct conversation.
It's been exciting to see the growth of USL Championship since you guys came in to now. It feels like a much bigger, much stronger, much more stable league.
Yeah, I agree, and you're getting. I've got to talk we've got great investors, great owners, and I think the league has really done a good job of saying, hey, listen, let's get some people that are not just doing it for, to make the end all, it's a community play. We can make this work. It's not just always about the P&L. P&L is important, but it's also about community. It's about signing good players that want to be in the team you're on. I mean, that was one thing that I thought, the reason why I'm here is that when I sat with owners and they said, look, we really want to have a team that, when a player puts on a jersey, they know it's a Birmingham jersey. They're doing it. They're playing for the city. They're willing to go into the city to do appearances and be a part of it. And that's a big turn on to be a part of an organization like that. And I think there's more of that happening in the USL.
So when we look back at things and we talk about how things are now and how things are going to take that next big step tomorrow, go ahead and take a sip. 2-part question. What was your first day on the job like? And taking day one to now, knowing what tomorrow is going to be, do you ever get the chance to sit there and take a step back and go, man, we've really done a lot in building Birmingham Legion since that first day?
That's a great. I don't know if I've ever. I'm always trying to block and tackle and go forward. Yeah. Haven't really reflected a lot. But I do. I remember we started. I remember my first day, and it was. You guys remember Morgan Copes? Yeah. Morgan's one of the first. He was the first hire, but he picked me up at the airport, and I remember we were in just a one room kind of office, just trying to figure out what was our next move. I remember being like, we have so much to do, you're not even sure where to start. Right. So the first thought was, all right, we need to get figure out what our uniform's going to look like. Or who is going to be our partner for apparel. So it was like, do we start with Nike? And we called all the people we know. And so I remember day one was like, I need to get us an apparel company to make sure that we come in strong. And I had a good relationship with Nike, and I called them first, and they're like, whatever you're going to do, we want in. So let's just figure it out. So that was day one, was making sure that we got something going in the right direction. I remember I just wanted to accomplish one thing that day, right? It's like, let's make sure we get one thing done. So that was a very good conversation. And, but yeah, I remember that was day one. Today now, to whatever day it is now, we're going into our 4th season. been a great ride. It's been a roller coaster. We've had to deal with a lot. I mean, with COVID in the middle of it, with just so many different hurdles, going from a smaller stadium that we were at with some challenges to this stadium it's been it hasn't been a straight line. It's been ups and downs, but we're hoping that tomorrow is that first step that we can take and say, all right, step 2.0, like let's go for the real who we're going to be for the next 5-10 years and really take that launch.
You mentioned community earlier. It's something that we take really seriously. We've done a lot with Soccer for Good and using it for social causes. You guys have been very active in the Birmingham communities. What are some of the highlights for you in terms of those community outreach initiatives?
Well, for me, one what was really that kind of caught me. There's two of them, but I'll talk the one that was kind of tied to Junior Flemings and kind of the whole process to talk to ownership about potentially signing him after after Junior had the incident in the San Diego game with Phoenix and the comment that was received by Colin Martin, the LGBTQ comment that was just derogatory, was okay. Having a conversation with him about what kind of player he was, what kind of person he was, we really felt like Junior understood that it wasn't a character flaw. It was a little bit of a mistake. It was something that he wanted to remedy. But then talking to Colin Martin directly and talking about things in the game, when I called him, I said, "Hey, Colin, we're potentially going to sign. We were thinking about signing Junior. What do you think?" And his first thought was, "Please." So he said to me right away, Colin said, "Jay, please sign him. We don't want his career to be totally destroyed by this. Get to a good, stable environment." I knew Colin. I coached against him a bunch.
Right.
So he wanted him to come here, and I said, "Well, look, one of the things that we really want to do is get these type of comments out of the game. Let's make sure we're thinking the right way." And Colin says, "Look, I'm not really worried about Junior Flemings or any player saying it to me or any other player that's strong that's dealt with it their whole life." He's like, "I'm really worried about that 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid in the locker room who's using a derogatory comment that then stunts someone else's like growth." So Colin was saying, he was the best player on the field when he was in, the junior national teams, DC United Academy, and he hears these players saying, derogatory, and he knew that he wanted to kind of maybe explore that part of his life, and it stunted him. He was like, "I can't. If I start exploring this, I'm going to lose everything that I'm really good at." And so those are things I'm trying to get to with our younger players. So rather than really, and we had Junior involved in this, but it's really talking to the Magic City Acceptance Center about how do we get to our academy players to say, "Hey, these words matter." And the kids, they fly. The words are flying faster now, and it's adults are understanding, "Hey, these are really bad words. We understand it." But when kids got to understand the weight of that word, that maybe saying that their friend, you don't think that there might be, they're dealing with some things, but that word may stunt that. And so that really impacted the way we're going about it, and something that I have a 16-year-old son who is on the academy, and there's certain things that we're just trying to make sure that those messages are hitting those players. So that was one real initiative that I thought our teams got behind, our players have gotten behind, because we've learned that one or two things happen on the field, those words matter. It changes lives, and so that's really important that we work on that. The other thing is just making sure that this year, as we move from the campus of UAB into the 99 neighborhoods, which is the neighborhood we're in, moving from on a campus to get into the neighborhood to really be impactful in the neighborhood. And we had done a few soccer. We do this D League, which is the Legion FC D League, which is it's a really, we sponsor the younger teams in the area, and we do a league that makes it simple for them to go. And we were trying to take some of the teams that were playing in the inner city and get them out to the suburbs to play.
Yeah.
And I've learned it's not the best way to go. What we got to do now is bring soccer to the city inside. Yes. We're going the wrong way. So now our next goal is, can we get to these futsal courts? Can we get to the schools that have soccer fields and bring our players to them to do clinics, to do after school program, to really impact those kids that now that we're in the community to be there. So those are the two things that I think are critical for what I've learned and what we're going to do going forward.
That's amazing. If there's ever anything we can do to help amplify the work you guys are doing in that, please let us know. We want to do that.
That's great. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. You can see I get chills thinking about it. It's so important, because soccer's not just, you live it on the field, but there's the things you learn around the game are just, they make I get chills when I think about it, because
I worked
really
for soccer in the streets for a decade in Atlanta, so
did you?
I know exactly what you
all
mean.
All right, awesome.
Anything we can do to help, seriously,
We'll sit
let us
down.
know.
I'd like to talk about that.
Yeah.
So then let me ask you this, off of that conversation. When you see that 16-year-old, that 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old, when the light comes on about how a word or a phrase can impact not just the present but the future. When you get to see what futsal can do and bringing it back into the city and having the sport be embraced by everyone else, when you get to see the light come on for that 13 to 16-year-old, for that person who's never touched it and finally gets to embrace and see what's going on, what's that like for you to see the light come on and the appreciation come on for that individual?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've seen it now because I'm really involved in our academy and trying to find the right players. But that is it. When you can talk about, impact their lives about the game, like make them better players, but trying to impact them off the field is why we're doing this. Can we make them better? Give them better perspective, give them better experiences to them, have a little bit more awareness. But I'm really hoping, and I think I know where you're going, where you're kind of going with this, where got my mind thinking about is, can we find that next player that maybe didn't have the opportunities elsewhere, that we can find, that we can then provide that for in our academy? That's what I'm looking for. So can we find that maybe he's 7, 8, 9 right now, maybe he meets Anderson Osiedo, maybe he meets, Faniel Kavita, and there's a moment there where, wow, I like that guy. He speaks to me the way I need to hear the game. And next, we get that player from 8 to 10, and we have him in our academy. Next, we're teaching the game the right way, and that we change that trajectory for a player that may not have looked at soccer as a way to be a professional athlete. Maybe we get that athlete that in person that changes not only our trajectory, but also his trajectory going forward.
We've kept you for a long time, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. I got one more for you.
Yeah.
That
are
I think.
So is anyone? Are we getting some live? Anything going live right now?
Yeah.
I want to make sure anyone live's got to be at the game tomorrow. Are they going to come across? What are they going to do?
We've got a lot of folks in Atlanta who are at the kit unveiling right now at Piedmont Park. So a lot of Atlanta United fans are coming in the morning.
Forest.
It is the City in a Forest. Playing off of Atlanta with that. Can you show a picture? Well, are you going to be able to make your phone work, John?
I saw the sneak on it last night. Someone stole it last night.
Yeah. Always somebody posts it at a big box store. Always at some point.
So, click here to purchase the Forest kit. So I'll bring the picture.
You're buying one. You're going to get one. Oh, I like it.
So there we go.
So there's the Forest kit right there.
I don't know if they're breaking that out tomorrow or not. They might be.
I don't know. I think they're probably saving it for the first game of the game.
Possibly.
Double green.
That's really sharp. There
it is. And then there's the video that's 1:48. Okay, here's your stills.
There's the full.
There's
okay. Now I was wondering the white shorts with the green trim. I like that.
It's so funny. I Googled him last night. I've coached against a lot. On so many times.
Ozzy Alonso really well.
I remember a preseason game when he was playing for Seattle, and we were playing against him in Tucson, Arizona. And I forgot. I remember the incident, but I didn't realize that I was quoted afterwards. And I was like, I'm pretty certain that he tackled Chris Tierney, who is a great left back for New England, and he took him out. And Chris Tierney was not ready for it. And my quote was something like, if you're playing against Alonso, there's no determinant between preseason, MLS Cup, street soccer. Nope. Like there's one way to play, and he plays it 1,000%, and I love him for it. I mean, it's a great addition for this team, and I think he's gonna put some metal into that midfield.
If we get Oswaldo Alonso and Enzo Martinez meeting up tomorrow,
that could be
I like that.
Yes,
that could be some sparks.
That's a steel cage match right there.
It is.
The last question I have for you is: what are your expectations for the Birmingham Legion in 2022?
Oh wow.
Other than world domination.
I do hope that we take, like last year we felt like we were close. You felt like you had some of the right pieces, but there was one or two missing pieces. This year we felt like we've added that metal that we were talking about with Enzo Martinez. We've added some upside talent that we hope if those players go to the level we think we can, those are the conversations, because we have the depth. I mean, we have. We've added players that fill into every role. We have players that we think can battle and make each other better. Those are the conversations you have after 2 and 3. Year 2, what did you do? Year 3, what did you do? Going into year 4, we feel like we've gone a step forward. And last year we felt like we were fighting for a championship or in the conversation to be close. This year we hope we're holding that at the end of the year. That's you don't want to say that's the only goal, but that's one of the big ones, and something we think we can get there if we do everything right.
I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see tomorrow. Thanks for having us in Birmingham.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for being part of the show today.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Jay Heaps, everybody.
All right, thanks.
Enjoy your beers, sir.
Very, very cool.
Very
and thanks again for taking so much time for us. I do want to get into some questions from the folks here, if they have them. We do this at all of our live shows. They can be soccer related, hopefully. You've had a few weird ones that are not soccer related that
in the past, yes, I have.
Can get a little weird. Scott Flood, you can help us out a little bit with this and even sit in with us if you want to. I think you have a couple things. So who's got a question either about tomorrow, about Birmingham, about Atlanta, about soccer in the South, about the U.S. men's national team, whatever is on your mind, we will take them. Those of you watching on Twitch, we will take them as well.
Question?
I guess I can just approach.
Yeah, that'll work.
Come on up.
All right. I am interested in getting a season ticket, but I have not yet been able to purchase it online. Will it be possible to get a season ticket at the door right away tomorrow?
I don't know the setup tomorrow about that. I would assume that the ticket folks are going to be looking for people like you tomorrow.
Yes, no doubt.
So definitely ask at the gate. And I think look for any team like gear, any team sections. I think they'll be able to take care of you. Because I would assume there's a lot of people that are going to be like you tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of people who want to get that season ticket.
Yeah.
He might be able to help you a little bit. He knows some people.
Yeah, I think that Jay might have some answers.
All right. Scott Flood needs 2 seconds, he tells us. Sure, I'll take another one, Scott. Please, thank you.
Oh, what particular
you
one?
got it before.
What particular one are you having today?
I don't know. I had one handed to me. I don't know what I got.
Okay.
It was tasty. It was very, very good.
What was it? A good.
Oh, and I'm usually not an IPA fan, and I liked it.
Okay. There you go.
No, not a sour. No, not a sour. Sorry. Not a sour. Look, everything here at Ghost Train has been great. I think for Atlanta United fans who are going to make the trip over, if you're watching live on Twitch, if you're listening to the podcast that comes out later, this is a really cool post-game spot. If you're looking for a spot to grab something to eat, grab a drink, not drive back, have somebody else drive back for you.
Yes.
But yes, this will be a great post-game spot. Is this the official spot for the Magic City Brigade?
Okay.
Very cool. The new location was opening up not all that far away, right? Yeah. Very, very cool. All right. Scott is going to be gathering questions. If you guys want to yell out some questions, we'll take them. If you want to
yell them out, that's okay too. Just don't yell over each other.
Oh, Scott's got a question. That's always dangerous.
Oh, you have
Scott's
questions.
got questions.
Okay.
You have a new fangled machine here that you can make work for us.
There you go.
You used a QR code. It's very cool.
Yeah. There we go. Here it comes.
No, Scott. No. Now I'm dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm scared. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I am.
I don't know.
I'm intimidated by this idea.
Okay, what do we have?
Go for it.
You know, it's weird. Nashville's been competitive, unlike the purple team down in Central Florida on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Nashville's going to be in the West, though, for at least a year, so it's a little weird. We're only going to see them once this year in Atlanta. We traveled to Nashville.
The Milwaukee Brewers.
The way I've always heard it described, and I would generally agree, I think Atlanta and Nashville started as a friendly rivalry. It's close. I think the fan bases kind of got along. Nashville hated Cincinnati more. Atlanta hated Orlando and others more. But then you've had some games with some friction in it. And that's how it usually goes, is you get a couple incidents in a game, and then you start to have the hate start to flow. And that's where it kind of feels now for Atlanta and Nashville. I'm curious to see what in Nashville's new stadium, which I can't wait to see the season, how many Atlanta fans make the trip.
Yes.
Because that first game in Nashville history at Nissan Stadium, the only home game they had before the pandemic hit, that was 20,000 Atlanta United fans.
Yes.
At least.
And they were angry leaving the building.
No, they won. John.
No,
Atlanta fans were not angry.
No, after losing Joseph Martinez.
They didn't know at that point. It was a little worrisome. I was worried. I wasn't angry. I was happy with a 2-0 win.
Yes.
That was a good win.
Yes.
But, yeah, we didn't know what Joseph was going to look like coming out of that. Got the news a couple days later, and that kind of derailed the 2020 season, along with this COVID thing that we've all had to deal with for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
What do you got, Scott?
Now, explain how this is newfangled stuff here.
Scott, you're going to blow his mind because he couldn't even figure out how to open up a QR code about a year ago.
That's true. I took a picture of the QR code thinking that my camera would take the picture and then send me into where the QR code was going. No lie. That's what I thought was what you're supposed to do.
I laughed for 5 minutes. At least.
And then when they told me that there's this app that you have to download that'll give you QR codes and things like that, yeah, you can do the rim shot all day long because I legitimately for the longest time thought that literally you just sit there and you take a picture and you go doink, you take the picture sends it to where the QR code is.
Where does it send it?
It sent it into my pictures
to Magic
library.
Land?
Yeah, it did. It sent it into my pictures library.
Is there a wizard
and
on the other end?
Suddenly out of the
that gets
crowd,
it?
a voice of reason comes.
That's Mr. Wizard's going to send the QR code back with whatever the link is.
Pretty much.
Shouldn't
he
VHS
does.
machine, actually.
He does still have a VCR. He said it's the one thing he'll never throw out. I was not shocked.
just Google.
I was actually
Google
shocked
it,
he didn't
John.
have a beta machine.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, what do we have?
We do have questions. All right. And I'm going to tell you guys, some of these are pretty good. I apologize. I'm not going to be able to maybe associate the direct question to the person, but I'm going to list people's names. So I've got Katie Peters.
Woo!
Hopefully this is your question. It might not be. Oh, well. So if it's not, take credit for it. All right. They want to know, and this may be her or not, but how much do you think the Legion beat Atlanta United by tomorrow?
Wow.
Wow. All right.
You know, like I
We're
said,
out of the gate fast. Here we go.
Like I said at the beginning, like it doesn't matter either way. Let's see, man, 3-0. Wow. All right, well, that is not what Atlanta needs driving back
No.
on I-20.
No.
I don't want to look at Twitter if that happens. So can we please not have that happen?
Yeah, can y'all just take it easy on us tomorrow? That'd be great.
Let's not have that happen at all. The scoreline really doesn't matter. I think for Atlanta,
No, I mean,
it doesn't.
Look, we've been
It
talking
doesn't.
about it for the
It
last hour.
doesn't.
It's different
The
ideas.
scoreline doesn't matter today or tomorrow, but when it will matter, I think, because I really can see this happening, is U.S. Open Cup.
Yes.
I think round 3
Yeah.
will be Atlanta and Birmingham this year. I really do.
Yeah.
Then it'll matter, and then it won't be so friendly. And oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Hopefully you guys are making the trip over to see us.
Will you, if we have to come here again, will you let us back?
Yeah, come on.
Okay, just check.
John,
Well,
we
we need
hate Memphis.
Well done.
Apparently
well played.
Birmingham City does too,
It's
from what we hear.
Birmingham City.
Yeah, that's a fascinating.
Birmingham City, yes.
I know. We have our owner right over here who's talking to me the whole time.
Yeah.
What else we
He
got,
refused to be
Scott?
on air.
What other questions are there, sir?
All right, so I
through
think
your
I've got
QR
Ian.
code?
Ian Peters.
Ian with a question.
Hopefully this is first time listener. Is that
First
your
time, long
question?
time, love the show? All right.
First time listener, long time caller. What's your favorite soccer experience outside of Atlanta United?
Let's see.
We hate Memphis.
It's true. It's true.
Well done.
I like it when you get response
Yes,
from
it's
saying
cool.
things.
That's cool. Favorite soccer experience outside of Atlanta United. So one thing, it's not because Atlanta United played in it, but I got to make the trip with the team right before, like literally as COVID was making the world fall apart. We were in Mexico City at the Estadio Azteca for
Yep.
CONCACAF Champions League.
Yep.
And the night before, the team trained at the Estadio Azteca, so it's empty. Got to go down on the field. I'm a huge Diego Maradona fan. That's why I got into the game. So to be able to kind of walk through that goal where he beat like all of England and scored, really, really, really cool.
Bye, guys.
And yes,
Thank you.
we did a recreation of the punch as well.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for
Thanks.
coming out. We
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
it. Thanks for partnering with us. Thank you. And hey.
Wow.
Hey.
Wow.
That's fine. He as was
Scoreboard.
Actually, if you haven't seen it, Gary Lineker making the trip to Buenos Aires with BBC to talk to Maradona. It's about a 60-minute show. You can find it on YouTube. Great watch. It was really, really cool. But no, and not anything Atlanta United related. Going to U.S. Mexico in Columbus in 2005. 2-0 win, of course, because that's what you were doing at that point. But it clinched going to Germany. Really, really cool atmosphere. It was one of those trips that we drove up on a Friday. The game was on a Saturday. We got there, slept for a few hours, went out tailgated like 6 hours before the game, went out afterwards, drank a bar out of all the beer they had, and then drove back the next day. That was a fun trip. It might have taken a couple years off my life.
Okay. I'll give you mine, and it's a recent one with the boss. Got to experience the first competitive event at Q2 Stadium in Austin, Texas with the women's national team. And so literally we were there and, we're here in Austin, Texas. Let's see if we can get tickets. And we kept an eye on the ticket prices on the secondary market, and they kept going down. It's like you hit that mark where you sit there and go, yeah, we can afford it. So we hit the mark. I think it was like the day before the game. We go in for the first event ever at Q2. The place was crazy, bananas, off the charts. But and to see the women's national team as they were building there. So I'll say the first ever event at Q2 that meant something for the women's national team.
Did you say that to upset Scott, who has been trying to get Matthew McConaughey to show up at one of these?
I need Magic City Brigade's help. You've got some spirit with you now.
All right.
All right, official McConaughey, you heard it.
You got to figure out what's going on, man.
McConaughey. Well, that will be my biggest soccer experience
Scott.
if that happens. So we'll have to change the narrative later this year.
Scott, I've also heard that Matthew McConaughey hates Memphis.
Who the hell doesn't at this point?
It's
apparently,
true.
I mean,
it's true. And we're never going to get to do a show in Memphis.
No, we're not.
Yeah, Memphis.
Well, actually, here's what we'll do. We'll go to DeSoto, Mississippi, and do it there, and just
okay, we can do that. Yeah.
We'll go to the suburbs.
We can do that. What else we got? Yeah, it might be.
I'm sorry. Our resident intern Jen was just texting me, and I was reading it. Sorry, hold on. So I heard somebody laugh. There you go. That's, all right. So here we go. We. Oh my God, my thing does not
there.
work. Stop it! Don't lecture me on technology.
Yeah, no, John, you can't help.
Yeah. All right. So Skylar.
Hey.
Hopefully, and again, I apologize if I'm not in the right. This should be in the right order, but the question is, what are the biggest games for Atlanta this year? Is that your question? That's it. All right. We are in order. What are the biggest games for Atlanta United this year?
Biggest games this year, and not like rivalry related, but biggest games. You got to look at NYC.
Yeah.
NYC defending champs. You question about Tati Castellanos. Is he going to be there at that stage? Looks like he's going to be there for at least the first half of the season. NYC's tough. I think early on you get 2 games with Charlotte, and that is really important to take advantage of a team that I think's had a bad build in the way they put their roster together. Their coach wasn't very happy about it and had some words about it in Spanish that needed to be translated a little bit differently than they were actually put in the public realm there, but that's okay.
We're blanked.
Yeah. Something like that. You got 2 games against them. You need to pick up 6 points, home and away. I think those are critical. The first 4 with 3 games at home, really, really important to get off to a good start.
And I know that there's one that's important for you.
In July, Austin is coming to Atlanta. So Matthew McConaughey will be here. I love these guys. Jesus, I want Matthew McConaughey and this group to go to Memphis and to do a show there. Right in the middle of damn Beale Street and just tell them they suck.
Wow.
Man.
Wow.
Do you feel, personal side note on this question, do you feel
drum, everybody.
Just from a set the precedent, just because we know we've heard a lot of chirping out of Charlotte?
A little bit of chirping,
this,
yes.
Do we feel like that game is just an important to kind of set a precedent to kind of let you know who you're playing?
Yeah, I mean, when the owner of the team, when the team is announced, I believe the quote was "Screw that city."
Yeah, it was.
Okay. I mean, they get it.
these guys have to come to like Mercedes-Benz, and we need them
Sponsor a road trip or something.
They might not. Bally Sports might not cover the team anymore after these guys are at a game. But I mean,
hey, we've had them turn down the crowd mics when Bob Lilly is at a game. We can turn down the crowd mics a little bit if the Magic City Brigade is there. It's okay.
Yeah,
just a little.
It is.
Okay, a 7-second delay. All right, we got to be a little careful now.
They're cheering the 7-second delay. No
You're
one
dealing
else
with some
finds that
pros.
funny. That's funny to me.
dealing with some
All
pros.
They
and they're cheering
understand
that.
its importance, and at the same time making sure that their point is heard by everyone around them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that you're going to be out of dump buttons like before the halftime break. What else we got?
Next question.
All right, here we go. So next up, I do believe I have Kaler.
Hey.
It could be anybody in that group. We
Yeah,
have
they're
no.
just-
It's all just one mass sound
That's
coming out of that group.
Exactly. It doesn't matter who you name.
Steve.
They're all going to sit there and
Oh, yeah, there is a Steve. Great.
okay. They're just
I was just picking random names.
mutual support. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. All right. So good question here, though. As a Legion fan, what should we expect from the Atlanta midfield? The forwards and backline seem solid, but the midfield seems the shakiest part of the club.
I think the midfield's maybe the most undefined part is where I would go with it, because you've got Santiago Sosa coming back from injury. He had sports hernia surgery after the season. Emerson Hyndman had his ACL repaired mid-season last year. Neither one are ready to go. Oswaldo Alonso, great addition. I think he's somebody that you're looking for about 15 starts or so, about 1,500 minutes across the season. Probably going to have to eat up a lot of those early on with Sosa out. I think Mateo Sosechu has been a really underrated player. He's somebody Gonzalo Pineda really likes. A linking kind of 8. He'll help build up the play, and Atlanta's going to try to build up the play consistently and work from the inside out going into the final third. They're going to look for the overloads on the left with Andrew Gutman getting forward. They're going to look for Luis Araujo 1v1 in space. Josechu's really critical in that. Who's the third guy is the part that we don't really know yet. Is it going to be Marcelino Moreno? Is it going to be Thiago Almada? It might not be either one tomorrow. Is it Franco Ibarra? Ibarra is one of these guys who wins every tackle, jumps into passing lanes, is getting better and better on the ball. He's only 20. So I don't think it's the weakest part of the team because there's a ton of depth. I just don't know what the three players are going to be yet, and we haven't seen them in preseason yet. We might not see what that trio looks like until really like mid-season when Sosa and Hyndman are up to full speed.
All right, I've got a question for those submitted by the boss.
Okay.
What color will Joseph's hair be this season?
What color has it not been? Well, it'll be multiple colors this season. I mean, we've seen this for 6 years now, John. Like, it'll be pink at some point. It'll be gray at some point.
Yeah.
It'll
Platinum.
probably be bleached or platinum at one point.
Yeah.
Now, what I would love to see is when the mint kit
He
debuts,
goes mint hair.
he goes green. He goes like the mint green with it.
Yeah.
That would be cool. We haven't seen that yet. I don't
Dark
think.
green hair with the mint jersey.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Nice. I like that idea.
That'll work.
Other questions, sir?
As my phone goes dead, there you go.
Come on, Scott.
Actually, this question is from our friend Will. I see you standing back there from
Hi, Will.
From
Thanks for being nice
Huntsville.
to Will today. Thank
Yes.
you.
From Huntsville, all the way
Wow.
down.
Well done.
And Will asks,
This could get dangerous.
to kind of piggyback on what was just said, are you excited to be able to see the away kit numbers again?
Yes. Yes.
Because
Look, I'll tell you from a broadcast perspective, the first Atlanta United away kit was the best because it was gray with kind of red strawberry-ish numbers. You could see it. The second one was white with peach, which you couldn't
Awful.
see real well.
No.
It got worse. The white with gold got even harder to see because the gold was kind of shiny
Yep,
and you
reflecting
under
off of a light
lights or in the
surface, the whole
sun.
thing.
Forget it. It's
Yeah.
just a white shirt.
not happening.
These are going to be mint with a darker green. You could see the darker green on the short numbers from the pictures.
Yep.
You're going to actually be able to see the numbers again. It's amazing. And when you're at Yankee Stadium and you're like 500 feet away from the field, it doesn't matter if you can see the numbers because you're watching it on a screen.
Mhm.
It's just it's nice to be able to, in venues where you can actually see the field, see the numbers. It's great. Because sometimes not everybody helps us like Joseph, where they dye their hair different colors, and we can tell from that.
Correct.
When you get Emerson Hyndman and Franco Ibarra and pre bleach blonde Mateo
Mateo
Sosecu. Very similar body types, all in the same part of the field, and it was almost impossible to tell them apart. At Yankee Stadium, it could have been any of them because we couldn't tell.
Because it's such a quality soccer stadium.
You know, you're like, I'm closer to the field at Yankee Stadium here. All right.
but there are folks who appreciate you calling a match without numbers.
Well, no, there were numbers. They were just really tiny up here. Celaya. The good thing was I was actually in the stadium, so I could kind of sometimes see them, and I could see them from the replays. I had enough research on Celaya to know at least who the left back, the right back, the left wing, the right wing were. And then their two center backs, one was 38 years old and one was 25. So I could tell the difference.
Yes.
One looked a little bit older than the other. So I had that, and I had the goalkeepers. But preseason has been difficult. Luckily, Atlanta's worn shirts with numbers the whole way. I don't know if tomorrow everybody's going to be in like normal kits or if it's going to be the preseason kind of gray kit again for Atlanta.
Or do they bust out the Forest kit tomorrow?
I don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But at least from the Atlanta side, we'll have numbers. Please, Birmingham Legion, wear something with numbers tomorrow. Please, 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 please. Please. I know a few of your guys, so I think we'll be in good shape. I know Johnny Dean flying up and down the flank.
You know Matt Van Okel.
Yeah, well, he's the goalkeeper. I think we could hopefully know who the goalkeeper is.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Mackie Jope. We know Mackie Jope.
We know. Well, he might not be here yet. They got to pick him up at the airport.
That's true. Yeah, Johnny Dean because he's fast. Enzo Martinez, we know.
Yeah, Enzo's got another nice beard, so we'll know Enzo.
Yeah, you'll know a couple of folks.
We'll know Enzo in 5 minutes because he'll be kicking somebody and be in a fight.
Wow.
Which will be great.
And Anderson.
Yeah, we'll definitely know Anderson because he'll be kicking somebody and be in a fight.
This is what I'm saying.
There you go. Excellent.
Nice.
If I get a number, I'm cool. If I get a name, it's a bonus.
Next question.
He sounds a little bitter.
Scott, have you ever tried to call a game with no
Not
numbers?
once.
Yeah. Yes, I sound bitter because I am.
Because you can be, sweetheart.
It's very difficult.
It's your world.
Look,
We're just
degree
hanging out.
of
in it.
Scott, get me another beer, please.
Degree of difficulty.
Hey, Patty knows what was in that beer, right? That we got. Okay, all right.
Degree of difficulty in calling matches.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What we got?
What's happening?
It's
the curling.
Oh, the curling is on. But that's on tape.
The fevered frenzy of curling. Hold on.
Hey, curling's awesome, Scott. You better watch it. Then.
Careful now.
Curling down here will be our new show,
right?
Yes, we've lost the Canadian viewers, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Well, we lost and Memphis. And we lost. The big.
I don't know if we ever had the Memphis
curling,
viewers, Scott.
No.
All right. So Tyler, we got Tyler. Hey, that's right. Everybody in Birmingham. What would you do to increase interest in soccer in the Southeast?
I think it's already on the right path. The biggest thing for me is getting it in mainstream places. And that's what's really worked well in Atlanta. We're lucky that the radio station that I call games for, 92.9 The Game's the biggest sports talk station in Atlanta. All of the hosts talk about it. You've got Gonzalo Pineda making appearances on shows. You've got Darren Eales making appearances on shows. Players call into shows. It's treated just like the Falcons and the Hawks and the Braves and everything else. You need that everywhere. And that's a little bit harder with a team in USL Championship, but there's no reason why it can't happen. And that, again, like I said, it's been one of the exciting things about this is seeing the local media, not just the sports media and not the soccer media, get on board with this and be excited about this game tomorrow. I think being in a bigger venue will help. I think just being in a bigger platform will help. But also, and I think the next step beyond that is, yes, having hatred for Memphis. I mean, that's big. Hey, maybe Knoxville will come in soon. You can hate them too. That'd be fine. I hate University of Tennessee, so I'll hate Knoxville by default.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, you need that atmosphere because what happens, and we talked to so many people in Atlanta who would go to a game the first year and they bought into the atmosphere and they got hooked.
That's exactly it.
It's twofold because you have to get people in the venue and you have to get new people in the venue,
right.
Non-soccer fans in the venue. But what hooks them is you guys, is people like you guys, because y'all provide atmosphere that they're like, I don't see this at a football game. I don't see this at a basketball game. I want to learn the chants. I want to be part of it. I want to hate Memphis too.
Yeah. And I want to come back after being in the door the first time, and it's from what you guys do that brings folks back as a part of that organic growth of the game. And I think that that's just as important. I think that, with what we've seen from the local media, when the season kicks in, I'd love to know what Jocks and all the local TV stations will do when it comes to local coverage and things like that. And I'd like to see it improve. I'd like to see it improve and increase, especially as we're anticipating you guys chasing after, at the very least, an Eastern Conference championship.
The media has a responsibility to cover it. The teams have the responsibility to get out into the communities and do the work like Jay Heaps told us that Birmingham's doing here. And I think the supporters groups have the responsibility to go out and bring new fans in and bring new people in, invite friends who maybe haven't been to a game and have them hang out, buy them a beer, get them to hang out, get them to hate Memphis, get them to hate everybody. It's doing all of that, though, because then they'll come back and they'll bring friends and it grows.
We, in Atlanta, we are extremely lucky, and this goes back
it's
to maybe
not a
one
hard
of the,
sell. Just say, hey, we hate Memphis.
Yeah,
Come on out.
Yeah, exactly.
When
we're really not going to be able to do a show in Memphis.
No, we're not.
Yeah,
That's
we're
why I
never
said
going to
go
Memphis.
to DeSoto, Mississippi.
That's
We'll go to
fine.
South Haven Civic Center.
That's
do
fine.
it there.
We won't smash any guitars. I know that much.
Yeah.
when I went into Mercedes-Benz the first time, it was one of our games that we had 70,000 plus, and the first thing that came to my mind after playing as long as I did and everything like that was that there were 70,000 people in this venue, and it was not for the Mexican national team. It was not for the women's U.S. national team. It was actually
for an Atlanta team.
It was for an Atlanta professional soccer team. And to a person, anybody that I ever talked to that was never a soccer fan ever before, they got tickets through their work, they got something, blah, blah, blah. They would go to this game and they would tell you, well, I didn't really know a whole lot about soccer, but man, while I was there, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
You guys and gals and everybody, you make the difference. You really do. And that is the biggest thing, because that is what your owner that just walked through here wants. He wants experience. He wants that experience to be created at your stadiums. And that experience is what keeps people coming back and want to do more, to what Jason and John's points were. And that is the biggest thing you can do. You guys play a much bigger role than maybe you realize that you do. And it's, all joking aside, your enthusiasm, what you're doing is amazing. And that's what will grow this sport in the Southeast. It's just that we see it already in what is being built around in Chattanooga, around what you've got right here in Protective Stadium, Greenville, what they're trying to do. Tormenta's talking about having Manchester City in next year is a exhibition game. Yeah. So it's growing already, and all these places are in the Southeast, and it's growing because those fan bases and that market is engaging in those teams. And that's what you got to work on, and couple in as best you can with the media where you can. Yeah, and try to get them on your side.
Look, the media will catch up. Some of them are a little outdated. Some of them are still recycling takes from 1983. That's okay. Yeah, that's all right. They'll catch up eventually.
Who knows?
But what they won't be able to do is they won't be able to avoid it when you get those crowds. And like Scott was talking about with having those crowds at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and some of those first games at Bobby Dodd for Atlanta United. You guys are going to have that experience this year. You're going to have a game, and I don't know if it's tomorrow. I don't know what the numbers are looking like. I don't know if it's when somebody else comes down during the season. But you're going to have a game where you guys will be in the stands, and you'll look around and be like, wow, this is like a whole different thing than it was last year. Mm-hmm. And that's just it. Soak it in, and bring new people to experience it.
Questions?
Yes, we got one more from Evan.
Excelente.
Hey!
Evan.
He hates Memphis too.
How did we know it was going to come from there? Thanks to anybody else in the place to ask a question, apparently. Nobody. Somebody from the... this.
Uh-oh.
Here.
Uh-oh. It's one of these.
Yeah, it's one of these.
Oh, boy.
Where's Evan? Yeah, look at him. He's ducking because he knows the question.
He's in the back. Evan's in the back.
All right. What you got, Evan?
Hit it.
What's heavier, a pound of feathers or a pound of steel?
Yes. Yes, Evan, correct.
John said Google it.
Is there a story behind this? Is there anything else behind it? It's not one of those like if you were a fruit, what fruit would you be?
No. This is the thing where if you're on the roof of a building and you drop a pound of feathers and drop a pound of steel, what hits the ground first?
Okay. I got nothing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer it.
It's
I was going to say, come on now.
whatever translates into hating Memphis. That's the answer.
So then that to me means that the pound of steel hits the ground first, so you can pick it up and throw it at the Memphis people. Is that right? Okay, got it.
I
Sweet
think
Jesus.
if you're going to throw the pound of steel at Memphis versus the pound of feathers, the pound of steel will do more damage. So I'm taking the pound of steel.
Yes.
All right, so I have an idea.
No,
so-
this is always a problem.
Oh no.
So, he's funny when he does it in the mirror at
No,
home.
it's true. Actually, is what it is. Go ahead.
When is Memphis? When is the Memphis game?
I don't know.
No.
They don't care. They're gonna hate them just the same.
Yeah.
If it's tomorrow, if it's in a month.
BHMLEGION.com. Go. All right.
Yeah,
So I'm loading the schedule. You
John-
guys don't have the schedule memorized?
John's
yet?
literally Googling it.
That's true. Why did you go to Memphis's website,
No, I went to
John?
I went to hello.
All right, let's check in. You should have that blocked. You might get viruses.
All right. So upcoming.
Booing their website.
Let's
My God,
see.
seriously.
Okay, so Wed, June 8th, home versus the team.
Wednesday, June 8th.
Yeah, Wed, June
Here.
8th. Here.
Okay.
Wednesday, June 8th. Here.
Yes.
Scott,
Wednesday.
are you trying to see if
Are
we
you-
can come back?
Oh, baby, you just wait 1 second. All right, hold on.
I have a much more complicated schedule than
Julie,
you.
our cruise director here, is trying to
Okay.
figure out.
Well,
All right, so look, we as the show have a show we've got to do the next day on the 9th in Atlanta at Line Creek Brewing.
we've done crazier things in our lives,
But
Scott.
there is no Atlanta United anything. I am
not.
moving that. We need to be here on the 8th. We need to be here on the 8th and try to do
I think we're being goaded into an appearance.
Yeah, we might have to make that happen.
Is it beer pressure or peer pressure? Okay.
I hope it's beer pressure.
I was checking. I just wanted to make sure it was beer pressure or peer pressure.
I hope it's beer
Because
pressure.
the Magic City Brigade hates Memphis.
and we'll just get big tifos that say pound of steel.
Yes,
No,
there's that.
pound of hammer. No.
The crowd here will appreciate Soccer for Good OG on Twitch that says just drop Memphis.
Like,
That's fine.
you're out of here.
That's fine. They do.
That's true.
They do. We've seen that sod come up a few times.
We've already discussed what you guys did to Charlotte and scared him out of USL Championship, I guess.
Yeah, it's true.
Going for a second one.
It's true. Anything else you'd like to say to start trouble, Scott?
But
And then the
That-
away match for you at the baseball stadium where they smash guitars is
Your
Sat
band.
Hog 20.
are you seriously? No, you're not.
Yeah. So
Well, they don't want to talk about that, so we'll leave that
Now
alone.
they duck and run away.
Scott,
All
be
right.
careful. Be careful.
so June 8th in the midweek apparently is what you're
That'd be a
aiming
tough
at.
one, but it'd be a tough little turnaround. But we might be able to do it.
Is Tim Howard still an owner in
Yeah.
Memphis?
Yeah, and he's like sporting director,
Oh, I remember that. That
Yeah.
wasn't.
and
All that.
they sold his
Good.
jerseys for like $95 a piece or something.
I mean, well, a few people probably did. He didn't. It didn't go well at the end there.
that did not. I think his goals against was like 37.
Yeah.
We're going to get Matthew
They
McConaughey
ended
to come
Tim
with us to
Howard's
Memphis
career.
and get John Morant from the Grizzlies to come out at the same time.
No, he'll be obligated to cheer for Memphis.
We'll
Scott?
get Darren to come with us. We'll just have a whole What did
Darren-
I just say?
Oh!
Good night, everybody.
I almost
There we go.
I almost brought up Ryan. I almost
Jeez, that took a turn.
So I'm
I-
guessing
I-
we're going to have a bit
Scott,
of
do
an
you want to have a
relation.
shout out now to
Yeah.
So now,
the people watching?
to Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, it's
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
It might have been a little Freudian there.
Good grief.
Little Freudian?
Little Freudian.
Good
Little?
grief.
It's Matthew McConaughey. Come on, Dave.
Little Freudian? I don't
Little-
think so.
Okay, Scott, I said, do you have
I
anything
didn't bring
else
up
you want
one
to say?
thing about Ryan Giggs. Nothing.
That's good.
Wow.
About
Yeah.
one thing.
Nope. Kill his
Are-
mic.
Is there something you can say without getting us in trouble, please?
Didn't you have like one other thing that you needed to say before we
He
signed
probably
off?
doesn't want to now.
Oh,
after
I don't know.
that.
Yeah, we want to say that we are Missing like I said, our resident intern, Jen, tonight. She's normally here with us. Patty's doing a fantastic job, though, filling in the back there.
I got my first beer, so, it was a good help.
Right, exactly.
Intern Patty gave Jason his first beer.
But we're missing Jen tonight, but she has had some, you guys don't know, but she hates Memphis, too.
She does. She does. She does.
Yes,
It's true. I know.
It's true.
We've had this
But
conversation.
Jen's had a very good week professionally and everything, so we miss her and wish she was here. She'll be with us this coming next week when we're back in Atlanta at Slowport Brewing to open up our official season. This is kind of preseason for us, too.
Yes,
so,
preseason.
woo, I can get away with that. Censor, where's the dump button?
No, seriously, thanks for opening up here at Ghost Train for us, making us at home here, giving us beer. That was great. Thanks to you guys, Magic City Brigade, for helping put all this together.
Yes.
Thank you to Birmingham Legion and Jay Heaps for spending some time with us. We did a show in Athens for the Atlanta Georgia Revolution preseason game, and we knew we were coming. We're broadcasting a game on 92.9 in Atlanta, and it was like, can we put something together? And Scott pulled it together with a lot of people's help, and we really appreciate it.
Simon,
it's
huge
always
thank you
fun
to you.
do these things. Simon, thank you.
Yes.
It's always fun to do
Huge
these
thank you.
things. We love the game. We hate Memphis, but we love the game. We love seeing the game grow. I love what you guys are doing. I love everything that Birmingham Legion's doing. And I'm sure we will be back maybe June 8th.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. But we will definitely be back. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. For those of you at home in Atlanta who are watching this, we're going to be on the radio at 3 o'clock Eastern time, 2 o'clock Central time if you're listening on the app. Kickoff will be about 3:30. And we'll have an hour of post-game coverage. So you guys here in Birmingham, if you're on the way out, you can pull up the Odyssey app where you can listen to 92.9 The Game. We'll have an hour of post-game coverage on 92.9 in Atlanta. Looking forward to it. And then it all starts next week for us. We'll have Sporting Kansas City at the Benz, and then we're in Colorado where it might be 10 degrees.
With prairie dogs. And
it's not just about the prairie dogs. The prairie dogs sometimes have the plague.
That's true.
That they sent out a press release. They said, "Don't talk to the prairie dogs." It was, that happened.
Legit.
It seriously happened.
That was
It
legit.
happened. We did not go anywhere near the prairie dogs. We're not going to in March. We will come back though soon, hopefully.
We are definitely going to try to come back soon. We don't have anything. Maybe June 8th.
Maybe June 8th.
I really would much rather go to Memphis. That just,
No. Scott.
I want to go with y'all
Scott,
to Memphis.
Scott.
I just want to say,
Scott, let's pretend that didn't happen.
I'm going to get lectured
What we would
now.
really
Watch.
like
I'm gonna
to
get lectured
do
now.
is
Watch.
first come back here to Ghost Train and pregame.
Check. Yeah.
Then go to Protective Stadium.
Check.
And then cheer on Birmingham Legion against Memphis.
That's how you present the facts and evidence, sir.
And that'll do it for us. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.